Well, hello and welcome to this episode of Church at Home for the 31st Sunday in Ordinary Time. Father Ed here.
Father Joshua.
Father Michael.
And Jim.
And we are contemplating the latest and greatest of St. Luke's hits. And
Top 10 for sure.
yes, and that is the story of Zacchaeus. I was referring to it as a parable. It's not really a parable. It's a pericope. It's a story. But St. Luke is famous for these parables. So in this one, we have this man short in stature who is intrigued with the attention that Jesus is getting from the crowd of people. And so that intrigue and that curiosity forces him up the tree so that he could see Jesus.
Mhm.
And so some of the brethren here were particularly impressed with Jesus' response to Zacchaeus' interest.
Right. So, just playing off that mere curiosity drove Zacchaeus up the tree. I think it shows us something about Jesus and therefore the nature of God. That the slightest crack in the door, the smallest opening that gets you to Jesus with interest, is enough for him to work with, and that he will work with that. When you think about Jericho, it's actually like the last stop where this is taking place. It's the last stop for Jerusalem. As we know, all throughout Luke's gospel, Jesus is working his way to Jerusalem. Jerusalem is his destination. It's where everything's going to culminate, and he's working to get there. And now they're just about there. They're like an hour away, and you're kind of in that situation where, can you make it? Just press on. Let's just go. Let's just get there. And in that situation, Jesus stops for one person because of that one person's curiosity. Kind of, that Father Joshua would say, Jesus blows up his schedule. The lesson there is that that's what Jesus does for Zacchaeus. He wants to do for all of us. He's willing to do for all of us. He's trying to do for all of us. Jesus blows up his schedule for you. And the slightest crack in the door is a way to, is an avenue for that.
Yeah. And think about the power of that, of what Jesus does, because he takes that crack, that tiny little opening, and he blows it up in Zacchaeus, and it becomes this beautiful conversion where he returns the money that he took that wasn't his, and he gives the rest of his money away, and he has this whole feast where all of these people then have the opportunity who never would have had that opportunity had Jesus just kept going to Jerusalem. He has this opportunity to directly encounter all of these people who were, the broken and the lost and the prostitutes and the tax collectors and all the people that society had rejected at that point. And so they're only able to do that because Jesus responded to this opportunity in Zacchaeus, which was really like it started off as, like, oh, hey, that's interesting. What are all those people looking at? Like, that's as much as we know that he had. And that Jesus can use that, even that little bit of curiosity, to open up the faith to so many people. So I think we have to really ask ourselves, how do we draw people in with curiosity, or what about our faith makes us curious so that we can enter more deeply into things or possibly draw others in as well.
Right. So the end of this story about Zacchaeus, Jesus says, I have not come to, heal or for the righteous, but to find and redeem the lost of the house of Israel. And that then triggered in my mind and in our hearts the notion of the Jesus in St. Luke's gospel particularly is all about this finding the one and the lost one. And so right away we go back to the story of the lost sheep. Remember that one, right? 1 in 99, the lost coin, 1 out of the 10, and of course the lost son. So those three famous parables about Jesus' mission to go and find the one, seemingly unimportant, maybe misbehaving, maybe not worth it in the eyes of other people. This is our God's interest. And so we, we're wondering together, maybe you are feeling that sense of that you're lost, maybe that nobody cares about you, that you have fallen off of everybody's radar screen and their social calendars, as Father mentioned. And our God has come to save and redeem precisely you, and that part of all of us that feels lost and unredeemable. I also then on to say that this business of allowing this one interruption reminded me of C.S. Lewis, who said, the great thing in life is if you can change the way you are seeing the interruptions in your life as not interruptions at all, but rather the life that God is giving you right now, and that redemption is in what you've been calling the interruption. So I said, actually in this business, it sounds like the priesthood. So, every day I set out to do something. I have a calendar and all that kind of stuff, and I'm supposed to be here and all that kind of stuff. And somebody walks up to me and says this and pulls me this way. Father Joshua mentioned
emergency calls and hospice calls.
Yeah, people
But
get
not
sick
just
and die all the time.
And it's not even just that stuff, like really ordinary stuff too, like maybe there's something, that you realize, oh, there's something going on in the school, I should go check that out, or there.
Or I always get this one, Father, did you see that the window is cracked on the back side? That's no, I didn't know that.
Did you know the roof is leaking?
Right, did you know the roof is leaking and there's some spot, a stain? Right. So, the beauty of our priestly life is, quite frankly, that is where the real agenda should be.
Mm-hmm.
Now, many of us, sometimes, all of us, some of us, some of us, all the time, are not really open to interruption. We're a bit too rigid. But the fact is that we're all called in the priesthood, in fact, to be free, to follow where the Spirit leads us in people's lives. So, and we are more free than maybe those who have obligations and family and jobs, a more rigid nature and technical nature. So that reminds us that this Sunday is also Priesthood Sunday, and so Jim is going to. I don't know, what are you going to tell us this weekend? Why don't you give a little
just a little bit about how I got called, I think, and what life is like at the seminary, how the people are there, sort of stuff.
Right. So maybe you know someone who seems to be generously able to turn their life, attention, and their schedule to the moment-by-moment needs of others around them. That young man, if it's not you, that young man may be someone you should encourage to consider the priesthood, because it seems that's a very Jesus-like quality to life and personality that the priesthood really could use. So, all right.
God bless you all.
Take care.
Good week.